Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Sage Glow Studio YouTube channel. I'm Brittany, your yoga teacher for today. And in this class, we are going to go over yoga basics, the foundational yoga poses that you will most likely find in many of the classes you might take online or in studio. So when you're ready, let's head over to the mat. So for today's class, we're going to start in a seated position. Most yoga classes start seated like this, in a cross-legged position. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can put a bolster or a blanket right under your seat to kind of prop you up, and I find that really helps to open up the hips. Otherwise, just come to a nice, comfortable position, your sit bones firmly on the ground. Knees are relaxed towards the ground. Spine is nice and straight. Belly is pulled in just a little bit so you have your core engaged. And then let's make sure the chin is parallel to the ground. So you don't want to be straining and looking up. You don't want to be tucked in too much. Just nice parallel to the ground, nice straight spine. And then from here, we usually close our eyes off and place the hands on the knees, either palms face down or palms face up. And this is a seated centering. This posture is usually taught right at the beginning of class. It gives us a moment to disconnect from our day and connect here on the mat. So as we are here, we're going to just bring some awareness to our breath and to our body. Sometimes I like to start with a little scan of the body, starting at the top of the head and just noticing if there are any areas of tension. Noticing if you're holding on to anything in the neck and shoulders, if there's any tension in the legs, the feet. Just noticing any pockets of stress. Bringing awareness to those areas, seeing if you can just breathe into those spots of tightness, releasing a little tension here. And then once you've completed that scan of your body, let's start to bring the awareness to the breath. So again, without changing anything just yet, notice the rhythm of your breath, if it feels deep or shallow. If you're filling up the lungs and belly or just the lungs. Then after you've made your observations, let's start to deepen the breath just a little bit. So inhale through the nose, fill up the lungs, fill up the belly, feel your belly actually expand. And then exhale out of the nose, pulling the belly in to push all of that air out. And again, inhale through the nose, filling up fully. And exhale, pushing all the air out. So keep going at your own pace. Find your own rhythm of a breath that feels good to you. A lot of times that will be as equal as possible. So if you're breathing in for about 4 counts, try to exhale for about 4 counts. You don't have to overthink it too much. Just find something that feels natural that you'll be able to maintain for the rest of your practice. And in yoga, you might hear the term Ujjayi breathing, and this is that deep breathing in and out through the nose with a slight constriction in the back of your throat, so that you're making the sound like ocean waves. So you would inhale and then exhale. And we use this breath in yoga because it helps to warm the body, get the energy moving. It's also a cue because if you ever notice that you can't hear yourself breathing anymore, it's a reminder to come back to that breath, back to the present moment. We'll take a few more moments here. And then on your next inhale, let's sweep the arms up and overhead. Palms touch, and then exhale, bring those palms to heart center. This is Anjali Mudra. And when you are ready, you can go ahead and open the eyes. So from here, we're going to roll over the legs and come into a tabletop position. This is another foundational yoga pose. So you're going to set yourself up with your knees directly underneath the hips, and knees are about hips width apart. And then your hands are going to be right under those shoulders, shoulder width apart. Bottoms or the tops of the feet are flat on the mat. And again, your spine is in line. And so you're not dropping the head down, not arching and looking it up right now. This is just our neutral spine. So belly is pulled in just a little bit to keep you nice and stable here. Hips are nice and stable. And this is your tabletop position. From here, another very common movement you'll find is cat and cow. So now we're going to move the spine. We're going to inhale, and the tailbone and head both lift up. And then we exhale and round the head, round the tailbone towards each other. And round that spine up. Good. So inhale, coming into our cow pose. And then exhale, round like a cat, rounding that spine. And again, inhaling it up. And exhale. And as you exhale, think about pulling those hip points towards your ribs. So really engaging the core here. Let's go one more round. Inhaling, head and tailbone lift. And exhale, really round. Push the ground away from you. Get a nice stretch in here. And then we'll come back to our neutral tabletop position. From here, we're going to just sit the hips back into a child's pose. You can bring those big toes to touch. Stretch those arms long away from you and just let the belly and the head come down towards the mat. You can rest the forehead on the mat and just take a breath here. So child's pose is not only a really nice stretch, really takes the pressure off the low back, feels really, really good and comforting, but it's also a good rest pose. So if you're ever in a class and you are just feeling depleted, come into child's pose and take a little breather here. By having the legs apart, gives your belly lots of space to breathe in, so you can keep going with that Ujjayi breathing, or just breathing without that ocean sound in and out through the nose. Good. Let's take one more breath in here. Exhale, fully release just a little more. And then on your next inhale, start to climb back up, pulling those hands a little closer to the body, coming back into your tabletop position. Move those toes away from each other, and then we're going to take our hands about a hand print away, tuck the toes, and then slowly start to lift those hips up into the sky. So we're coming into our downward facing dog. So this is a pose that is super common in yoga. And what you want to do is think of it as not just a upper body pose, like you're coming into some sort of push-up here, or just all in the legs. Think of it as a pose that is equally distributing the weight between your upper body and your lower body. So a lot of times when we come into downward facing dogs, we'll say pedal out the legs. And what that means is you're just bending through one knee and then the other. When you come into down dog for the first time, a lot of times your hamstrings aren't totally warmed up. You might be a little stiff. And so this just helps to bring some blood, some energy to the muscles without going into the deepest stretch yet. So pedaling out the legs here, just bending into one knee and then the other. And then in downward facing dog, let's come to stillness. And remember that your knees can always be bent here. So it's better to have nice straight arms here and have a little bend in the knees. And you can slowly work to energize those heels towards the floor. But just give your body some time. Don't push it. Just feel that nice natural opening here. So let's take a moment to look at our hands. Make sure the fingers are nice and spread and that you're pushing weight into that area in the palm of your hand where your thumb and your first finger meet. So that'll take some pressure off of the wrists. And then imagine those shoulder blades reaching down your back. So you're not arching here or crimping in the neck. Nice long lines here. And feel those shoulder blades just moving down your back. Good. So we'll take one more deep breath in here. Exhale fully. And then let's take a walk, meeting our feet up at our hands. Feet are about hips width apart. Again, nice bend in the knees here. Then go ahead and clasp onto opposite elbows and just let your head dangle. So releasing any tension out of that neck. You can stay in stillness here or sway a little bit side to side or front and back. This is called a ragdoll pose, and it's one of my favorite poses for just releasing tension in the neck and shoulders. Go ahead on your next exhale, release those hands, and with a nice bend in those knees, let's go ahead and roll up one vertebrae at a time. Arms are heavy, kind of like a zombie. And then once the spine is all the way stacked, then you lift the head up and look out straight. Good. Inhale, those arms sweep up, palms touch overhead, and exhale, bring the palms back into heart center. Good. So now we are in Tadasana, our mountain pose. It's a nice strong pose. You'll find it very often in your yoga flows and yoga classes. So look down at your feet. Make sure those toes are spread wide, giving you a nice base that you're grounding down into all four corners of your feet. Pelvis is neutral, so we're not sticking the booty out. We're not crunching in. Nice, reaching directly towards the floor. Hips are even. Spine is tall. Again, belly is pulled in just to activate that core to keep us nice and strong and straight. That is your mountain pose. So from here, we're going to move through a sun salutation, Surya Namaskara A. This is a very common little flow to warm up in yoga. So you're going to inhale, sweep those arms up, palms touch overhead. Exhale, hands go out wide. And then with a straight flat back, you're going to hinge at the hips and start to reach towards the ground. This is what we call a swan dive fold. So you're folding down. And then once your fingertips reach the ground, inhale, come halfway up to a flat back here. And then exhale,
fold, dropping the head, getting a nice stretch in here, bringing some weight to the balls of your feet so you get a nice stretch all along the backs of the legs. And then place those fingertips on the floor. We're going to step that left leg back all the way down, releasing the knee to the ground, coming into our lunge here. So release that foot down and come up here. You can put your hands on your knee for some stability here, or inhale, sweep those arms up. Release those shoulders down away from your ears. Take a nice big deep breath in. And exhale, hands come back to the floor. Tuck those back toes and step your right foot back to meet the left. So now you're in a plank pose, atop of a push-up here. And then as we warm up, we'll do a little modified chaturanga. So drop those knees down and then move down, knees, chest, chin, release those toes and inhale up into a baby cobra. So little heart opener here. Exhale, release back down, tuck the toes, and push yourself up into downward facing dog. Good. And then from here, let's take that walk up to our hands. And this time, we're going to sweep the arms out straight and take that reverse swan dive, coming all the way up with a flat back. Arms reach up overhead and palms come to touch at heart center. Good. Let's get the other side. So inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, swan dive fold. Nice flat back here. Inhale, halfway look. Exhale and fold, bringing some weight into the balls of the feet. Place those fingertips down and this time step the right foot back. Releasing that knee to the ground, coming up nice and tall in our low lunge. Again, you can keep the fingers interlaced over that left knee, or inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bring those hands back down to the floor. Tuck your right toes, and again, step that left foot back, all the way back, coming into your plank pose, top of a push-up position. So from here, we're going to come into our chaturanga. So we're going to keep our elbows moving directly behind us. So they're not going to flare out. They're going to come right behind us as we push off the toes just a little bit, bringing some weight into the arms. And then slowly lower down, and then inhale, open up into a cobra where the knees stay on the ground, or up dog where you're just bouncing on the tops of those feet. Good. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale, roll over the toes and come in to your downward facing dog. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale fully. Another deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly bring those knees to the ground and sit back into a child's pose here. Reaching those hands away from you. Feeling that heartbeat. Noticing your breath, seeing if you can still maintain that deep breathing in and out through the nose. And then on your next inhale, let's slowly walk ourselves up. Come to sit, swing those feet out in front of you and reach them out long. We'll slowly roll down with control, coming all the way to our backs
and set up for a Savasana. So you must have heard of this final resting pose. We end all of our yoga classes with Savasana. So your legs are nice and relaxed, about hip width apart, and just let those feet kind of flop open. And then bring the arms long at your side, palms facing up. So take some little movements here. Make sure that those shoulders are not creeping up towards your ear, that you're nice and relaxed here. And again, noticing where your chin is in space, that it's not tucked in too much, that you're not looking up, straining, that it is at a really comfortable position. And then you can go ahead and close off the eyes. So Shavasana is a really important pose that we end all of our yoga classes with, because it gives us a moment to let our body absorb all the good things we just did, to slow down the heart rate again, to come back to our natural breath. You can slowly release the Ujjayi breathing here and just let yourself breathe naturally. And it's just a nice way to close out the practice. So in a class, you'll stay in this pose anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Stay as long as you would like. But when you are ready to come out, you'll start to wiggle the fingers and toes. Might make some circles with your wrists, circles with the ankles. Just waking the body up again. And then reach the arms above your head now, coming into a full body stretch like you're just waking up in the morning. And as you exhale, I like to roll over to the side. Keep that bottom arm stretched out like a little pillow for your head, curling into this little fetal position, representing that you are coming out of this practice a new person, a new birth. So press into that supporting hand to slowly come up to a seated position, and we will end just how we began, cross-legged on the mat, sitting up nice and tall, palms resting on the knees, and we'll take one final breath together. So inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, palms come together at heart center. Take a moment to feel gratitude towards your body. And then slowly blink open the eyes. And you guys are all set. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial today on yoga basics and the fundamental asanas. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.